Hi knitters, it's Mimi with Pastiche Knitwear, and we are motoring on our mystery hat, and we are getting ready now to do our ending Entrelac triangles. Now if I turn this work around, you'll see these were our beginning triangles. This is the front side of the work, but we're actually going to be picking these stitches up and working from the back side of the work, or the purl side, so you want to have that facing you. And we're going to be picking up stitches down this sloping edge. So let's take a minute and take a look at these, analyze these stitches. If I turn the work towards myself, I can see 4 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 are yellow and 1 is blue. And these are the stitches that we're going to be using to pick up our new stitches. Because we're working from the purl side, we are going to be picking these stitches up from back to front. So as I do these, I usually move the stitches down close to the tip of the needle. I'm going to put my right index finger here to hold on so this doesn't slip off, and then the angle is pretty acute. I'm going to come underneath both legs of that chain stitch. Now I've got my new color. I've got my loop with my tail of about 6 inches. I'm just going to drop that over the tip of the needle and then pull it to the back, and there's my first stitch. Now I'm going to pick up 3 more stitches down the sloping edge from back to front. Let me find my live end here. And then we're just going to pick up 1 more stitch. We're going to do a total of 4 here. So each time, now when you get to the bottom, you'll see that it's a different color here, and that's fine. We're still coming from back to front, underneath both legs of that stitch, and then bringing the yarn around purlwise. And sometimes this guy in the end is kind of tight and the angle's kind of weird, and it'll slip off the needle there. Okay, we got it. So now we can see here with my blue yarn, I've picked up 4 stitches. Now I'm going to purl 1 from the previous tier stitches, and that's going to give me a total of 5 stitches, which is what I want. And then we're going to turn and knit 4 stitches per our pattern. This is the hat pattern that we're using. And you'll see that when we knit the 4, we're leaving 1 unworked at the end. Now we're going to turn and work. So we're going to work our double stitch. Yarn is forward, slip 1 purlwise, lift straight up on the live end. Because we're purling back, we'll bring the yarn forward. And according to the pattern, we are to purl 2 and then purl 2 together. 1 from our picked up stitches, 1 from the previous tier. And then we'll turn our work. This time we're going to knit 3 stitches. And this will take us right up to the previous double stitch that we worked, which is right here. And then we will turn and work. Oops. Get that back on there. So we're slipping 1 purlwise. Pull straight up on the live end, yarn forward to purl. We're going to purl 1 and then purl 2 together. Oops. We're going to knit 2 and then turn and work. We'll work the double stitch, then yarn forward, and this time we just purl 2 together. You can see the sequence as you're doing this. Now we're set to knit 5 stitches, incorporating the double stitches as you go. So you can see in the middle I've got 3 double stitches. So I'm just going to knit my 5, and when I come to the double stitches, all I will do to reincorporate them is just bring that right hand needle tip underneath both legs of that double stitch, and that just gets them all worked back in, which is lovely. Now this stitch I picked up backwards, so I'm going to knit into the back of it just to have it properly mounted. Okay. Now we're almost there. Now we're going to bind stitches off. So I'm going to purl 2 together. I'm going to drop the just worked stitch back onto the left hand needle tip and purl 2 together again. and that's 2 bound off stitches. I'm going to continue this until I have all 5 bound off. So just slip that stitch back onto the left hand needle and purl 2 together. We've got one more that's going to incorporate that yellow stitch, and we're finished. So let's turn it around and take a look at it. There we are, looking good. So now let's do one more. The initial triangle is a little bit different than all the subsequent triangles, because as you see here, we're left with one stitch that we've bound off. So now I'm going to I'm not going to turn the work, I'm going to pick up 4 chain stitches down this sloping edge, and if we look at it now, 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 4 yellow stitches, and that's what I'm going to pick up, and I'm not going to pick up that blue one now because we've got the extra stitch up here and we don't need it. So again, we're going to start, the angle's pretty acute, come from back to front, and then create that stitch purlwise. There's 1 and 2, coming from back to front underneath both legs of the chain stitch, and then this number 4, this last yellow one, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, and I'm going to purl 1 off the left hand needle. Now if I count 2, 4, 6, I've got 6 stitches and I only need 5. So I'm going to bind off this last stitch, and that will give me 5 stitches. Now, there's one other change on these subsequent ones. If you look here, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 of these stitches come right off the yellow, but this first stitch you can see 2 rows worth of blue. So in order to even this up, I'm going to slip the first stitch rather than work it, and then I'm going to knit 3. Now, from now on, you're going to follow the directions for the initial triangles. It's exactly the same as the one that you just did. So we're going to turn and work the double stitch. Yarn comes straight up, forward to purl. We're going to purl 2 and then purl 2 together. And then we're going to knit 3, which will take us right up to the last double stitch that we worked. Turn and work, slip 1 purlwise, yarn straight up, and then forward to purl. We're going to purl 1 and then purl 2 together. Now you can use this sequence on any number of stitches for your base triangle. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be just 5. You can follow this matrix with any Entrelac block. Now, this time we're going to knit 5 stitches across, reincorporating the double stitch. So that just means we're coming under both legs of the stitch as we come to it, the double stitch. So we're going to come all the way to the end and knit this last stitch. Then we're going to do our bind offs. So we're going to purl 2 together. Replace that just worked stitch back on the left hand needle and purl 2 together again. And bind off all the way across in this fashion. We've just got 2 more to go. And then when we get here, we do not turn because we're all set to pick up stitches down this next sloping edge. So that's where I'm going to leave you. I'm going to let you continue around on your project, and I hope you have great success with it.